Mildred Annette Dodd, who went by her middle name, was born on March 22, 1960, to Jake and Eileen Timmons. Annette grew up in a big family with 3 sisters and a brother, and attended Chattooga High School in Summerville, Georgia. She then became pregnant at around 18 and gave birth to a daughter she named Mandy. She and Mandy's father married, but it wouldn't last. By the age of 26, Annette had remarried, this time to Glenn Dodd. She was still living in Summerville and working at Roper, a large manufacturing company near Chattooga County. On Saturday night, April 19, 1986, Annette and Glenn went out together, and according to Glenn, they returned home around 1 a.m. Everything seemed fine until he woke up the next morning, and Annette was gone. Sadly, after that day, no one heard from her again. After her sister Carol reported her missing the following day, investigators came out and searched the home. They were surprised to find that Annette's car, wallet, and Social Security card were still in the house, but her driver's license was missing. They also found blood on the handle of a shovel, as well as on a boot. There was also fresh dirt on the shovel, but unfortunately, none of the evidence was analyzed at the time. As investigators were checking vehicles on the property, they found one that had a bloody handprint on the vinyl top and blood on the seat. Chattooga County Sheriff's Department said the blood was assumed to be Annette's. All these findings shot Glenn to the top of the suspect list, but he was strangely not arrested. A private investigator by the name of Larry Kellett gave some insight into why. He said there was plenty of evidence to charge him with the murder, but they never did because they couldn't locate Annette's body. Meanwhile, search parties were searching high and low for Annette, but were hampered by the thick foliage in the area. Unfortunately, those search teams never found anything. There was also at least one search in the Little River Canyon area of DeKalb County, Alabama, but once again, nothing. When Glenn was questioned, he said that Annette had once mentioned to a friend that she planned to leave him at some point, although they had only been married for a few months. They also spoke to a witness who said they heard a car leave the Dodd home and return on Sunday morning. The same witness said she later saw a man using a water hose to wash out a car near the house. Over the years, Annette's family has repeatedly asked investigators to re-examine the shovel, the boot, the car, and any other evidence using modern forensic methods. If those items are still in evidence, they could finally provide the answers the family has been waiting for. After Annette disappeared, her daughter Mandy went to live with one of her aunts. Now an adult, Mandy is still searching for justice and answers about what happened to her mother. Annette's parents and one of her sisters have since passed away, but she still has many surviving family members who deserve answers. Annette stood about 5'8" or 5'9", weighed about 135 pounds, and had brown hair and brown eyes. If you have any information about her disappearance and presumed murder, please call the Chattooga County Sheriff's Office anonymous tip line at 706-857-0901. Annette went missing on April 20th, 1986, and as of November 2025, she remains missing, and this case remains unsolved. Carlene Sessions Tengelsen was born on May 2, 1956, to Joan and Arnold Tengelsen. In 1966, the family moved to Macon, Georgia, so Carlene's father could manage a chain of fabric shops. 6 years later, in 1972, Carlene, who was now a 16-year-old junior at Southwest High School, had recently obtained her driver's license when a horrible tragedy occurred. On June 21, 1972, her parents finally decided to let her take the car out on her own, and so she headed to the now-defunct Westgate Shopping Center off Pionono Avenue. She was so excited to drive that she even offered to pick up her 14-year-old sister, Jonette, from day camp at Mercer University, and her mother agreed. Carlene's plan was to spend around an hour shopping at Westgate and then drive the 2 miles to pick up her sister. Unfortunately, she would never arrive. When she failed to show up, Jonette called home and informed their mother, who in turn sent her 17-year-old daughter, Arnell, to go get Jonette. She was also immediately worried about Carlene. Later that afternoon, her father, who was out of town for a business trip in DeLand, Florida, had just checked into his hotel, received a call from Joan informing him of Carlene's disappearance. So he immediately canceled his trip and drove all night to get back home. Sadly, after that day, Carlene was never heard from again. It was determined that she did in fact make it to the shopping center because she was spotted by some boys from school she knew after she stopped to watch them play some pinball. She also stopped by the nearby Winn-Dixie where her boyfriend worked and left a note on his car saying she would see him later that night. When she disappeared, she was wearing his class ring, which has never been found. After Carlene's mother, Joan, notified the police of her disappearance, a search began, and at 1:45 a.m. the next morning, her sister, Jonette, spotted the family's 1963 Pontiac station wagon parked in front of the Krispy Kreme donut shop. The windows were down, and the doors were unlocked, which her family said was unusual for her. Unfortunately, there was no sign of Carlene at the scene. At first, police in Macon treated Carlene's disappearance as a runaway case. However, her family knew better and were disappointed that the police weren't doing more. They even had to ask them to fingerprint the car, which they eventually did, but no new clues were found. 11 months after she disappeared, her parents moved to North Carolina to run a Western sizzling steakhouse. They needed an escape as the pain was too much in Georgia. After moving on from the steakhouse, Arnold returned to work in fabrics, taking a job in Kentucky and bringing his family with him. As for Carlene's mother, Joan, the stress was too much, and she spent 2 months depressed in bed. After that, she never returned to teaching and spent her time at the kitchen table next to the phone, always hoping that Carlene would call. They had also set up a phone at their former neighbor's home, dubbed the Carlene Hotline. It stayed in service for about 2 years, but never received any calls. Then, in 1977, her parents moved back to Macon, within a 4-mile radius of their previous home. In 2023, a woman from Macon who recalled seeing the case remembered seeing Carlene's name in a 1921 children's book called From the Tower Window. Carlene had written her full name, Carlene Sessions Tengelsen, followed by her initials, CST. The woman knew this would probably be important to her family, so she sent it to them, and while it wasn't a clue in the case, it was a lovely keepsake to remember Carlene by. She'd most likely used the book in school at some point and had written her name in it. Her family has since provided their DNA, which was entered into a National Missing Persons database to help identify her remains if they're ever recovered. Carlene wore braces and ironed her hair straight at the time of her disappearance. She was last seen wearing a blue dress shirt, blue jeans, a Mickey Mouse watch on her right wrist, her boyfriend's white gold class ring with his engraved initials, and a silver bracelet engraved with the name of a Vietnam prisoner of war on her left wrist. She had refused to remove the bracelet until the prisoner was returned to the United States safely. It's unclear if she knew the soldier personally. Carlene Sessions Tengelsen stood 5'8" and weighed about 115 pounds, with brown hair and hazel eyes. If you have any information about her disappearance and presumed murder, please call the Bibb County Sheriff's Office at 478-751-7500 or the Georgia Bureau of Investigation at 1-800-597-5477, or you can email where'scarlene@gmail.com. Carlene went missing on June 21, 1972, and as of November 2025, she remains missing, and this case remains unsolved. Keora Lawson, who friends and family called Kiki, was born on February 16, 1999, and grew up in Fitzgerald, Georgia. She was described as a sweet and caring individual, and by the age of 22, she was a mother to a 1-year-old son. Unfortunately, in the spring of 2021, she would strangely go missing. On May 1st, 2021, Keora was seen on surveillance footage at a clothing store in Fitzgerald called It's Fashion. After leaving, she was dropped off at a home she often visited. It's unclear if that home belonged to friends, family, or a romantic connection, but at some point she left the house on foot, never telling anyone where she was going, and then failed to return. After that, she was never seen again. Unfortunately, she wasn't reported missing for 13 days, almost 2 weeks since she was last seen. Investigators questioned the owners of the home she was last seen at, but nothing to advance the case forward emerged from their conversation. At the time of her disappearance, Keora didn't have a cell phone or any credit or debit cards, which made it difficult for authorities to track her movements. Investigators have named several persons of interest in her disappearance, including one individual who has since passed away. It's believed that she, or if she was murdered, her remains, are no longer in the Fitzgerald area, but are most likely still within Douglas County. Her family has also been very adamant that she would have never abandoned her young son. Keora stood 5 feet 4 inches tall, with braided black hair tipped with auburn and brown eyes. She was reportedly last seen wearing a green skirt and a green top and has 2 tattoos, her name on her left leg and the words Mike Mike on her right leg. If you have any information about the disappearance of Keora Lawson, please call the Fitzgerald Police Department at 229-426-5000. She went missing on May 1st, 2021, and as of November 2025, she remains missing, and this case remains unsolved. Tristin Jeffery Aspinwall was born on August 10, 2001, in Waycross, Georgia. In 2019, he graduated from Pierce County High School and then became a father to a baby boy named Hans. By the age of 23, Tristin, who is now engaged to Elena Allen, had remained in Pierce County and had made a nice life for himself, working for a local construction company. Those who knew him described him as a hard worker with a strong work ethic, and said he loved hunting, fishing, riding buggies and four-wheelers, and boating. Unfortunately, a night out riding buggies would turn deadly. On Saturday night, May 17, 2025, Tristin was out with friends, riding buggies, when he decided to return to his truck to get more gas. After parting ways with them, he was never seen alive again. The next morning at 7:15 a.m., Tristin was found unresponsive in a rural area off Big House Road near Cleve Road. He was near a side-by-side all-terrain vehicle on a farm access road close to Cleve and Meadowwood Roads, west of Blackshear. At first, authorities believed his death was the result of an ATV accident, but it was soon discovered that his injuries didn't match that theory. An autopsy would confirm he actually died from a gunshot wound, and his death was subsequently ruled a homicide. At this time, investigators haven't released many details, and no persons of interest or suspects have been named. If you have any information about the death of Tristin Aspinwall, please call the Aggressive Crime Enforcement Unit, or ACE, at 912-807-2677, or you can call the tip line at 912-807-8477. Tristin was found murdered on May 18, 2025, and as of November 2025, this case remains unsolved. Valinda Sue Williams was born on June 27, 1973. At the age of 15, she lived on 2nd Street in Macon, Georgia, with her mother and grandmother. A year earlier, she had become pregnant and married the father of the baby, Bobby Richard Long, who was from Flobilla, Georgia. She also dropped out of school and remained unemployed to take care of the baby. However, her marriage to Bobby wouldn't last, and by the summer of 1989, they were already separated and in the middle of a divorce. Unfortunately, that same summer, a horrible tragedy occurred. On June 26, 1989, at 10:45 a.m., one day before Valinda's 16th birthday, her body was found in the stairwell of the Macon Health Club. She'd sadly been beaten and strangled to death. Also in the building was a men's-only dormitory called Stribling Hall, which the Macon Health Club owned. The dormitory, which rented rooms for $55 per week, and the health club were operated separately, and each building had its own street-level entrance. Bobby Gordon, who managed both the health club and the apartment complex at the time, told the police that Valinda had previously visited the dormitory. However, she was not a member of the health club, and her family had no clue why she would have gone there. In 2009, investigators submitted a sexual assault kit for DNA testing as part of a renewed effort to solve the case. Unfortunately, those results led nowhere, and it's never been publicly released whether or not she had been sexually assaulted. A new investigator by the name of Christina Tinch has since taken over the case, and she believes the crime was sexually motivated and that there was more than one suspect involved. If you have any information about the murder of Valinda Williams, please call the Macon Regional Crime Stoppers at 1-877-682-7463 or 877-68-CRIME. Valinda was found murdered on June 26, 1989, and as of November 2025, this case remains unsolved.